That brings us right into our next topic.
That
was G. Bush. Sometimes you have the best transitions unintentionally. Look at that.
Sometimes.
You want to set it up? You want me to set it up?
I will set it up. So Mike asked us this question. I don't know where this came from out of the blue. I feel like we have talked about this in the past.
Well, we did the owners last week, and then on Monday it got brought up briefly.
Oh, yeah, right.
How the owners relate to the GMs. But with Jason here, and Jason knows all three and probably knows them better.
He goes out to eat with all of them, right?
Yeah,
There was that.
What's that?
I have actually had a meal with one of the Cleveland GMs. Have you
Intentionally?
Yes.
Have I had a
When
meal?
I first moved to Cleveland, Mike Chernoff invited me to lunch.
Oh, wow.
We had lunch. Now I can't get a text back when I text him. But he did invite me, because I knew his dad, because his dad was my boss in New York.
You had a bad first date. Oh.
And we had lunch.
Now he ghosted you.
We had a very nice time. We had a very nice lunch at a place on East 4th.
Actually, I don't think I've had a meal with any of the current guys.
See, there you go. So I'm ahead of Jason on that.
Here you are.
They don't even know who the hell I am. What you talking about?
Yeah, they do.
And for the sake of this conversation, just before people in the YouTube chat tell us, well, Koby Altman's not technically the GM; he's the basketball.
And I mentioned Mike Chernoff, who is the GM, but Chris Antonetti.
Chris Antonetti. So yes, we understand they're not technically the GM, but in this discussion, who is the best decision maker of the operations of said team? So for this discussion, we're talking about Andrew Berry, Koby Altman, and Chris Antonetti.
Yeah, the answer, I don't even know why this is a debate. There's no debate. It's obviously Chris Antonetti. Now, the only thing you could debate is who's done a better job over the last year. Yeah. Well, then I could say Koby Altman has probably been the best over the last year. But if you look at their entire body of work.
I don't know. Guardians went to the playoffs last year and won a round. Cavs got bounced, won one playoff game.
Right, but I would say he's done a better job of roster building in the last year.
I know what you're saying.
Than the Guardians have. However, body of work, I don't even know how there's a discussion here.
Yeah.
Chris Antonetti / Mike Chernoff, their body of work is overall, considering the limitations they have and the disadvantages they have that the other teams in the city don't have.
Yeah.
If you factor that in, then it's even more of a blowout. This team, now, in the end, you could say, well, the Cavs have won a championship, although Koby Altman didn't put that championship together, and the Guardians have not, and that's a fair criticism. However, there you go. You just saw Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff there. They have consistently put together good teams on a low payroll. Now, again, I've been critical of their job over the last year, but overall body of work, they're an A, at worst an A-. Koby Altman is below that, although he's done a decent job, certainly better than we thought.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point in time, Andrew Berry at best is a C.
Yeah.
At best.
But here's the thing: Andrew Berry got the highest ceiling because. Say, for instance, Deshaun Watson is good and they go to the Super Bowl. He just leapfrogged everybody because the risk-reward is so high.
Yeah.
No other person was going to not only – matter of fact, you got to look at the deal.
That's a pretty huge if.
But I'm saying, but there's room for that, right? If you look at the fact that they gave him the contract or they offered him the $230.
I mean, the Guardians were one win away from the ALCS last
Tied in the ninth inning.
Yeah.
In 2016 from a World Series.
So it's not like they were that far away, and they can get right back there next year.
But it's the cheat code, though. It's football.
Yeah.
It's the Browns. And
but we're talking about the job they've done to this point.
But what I'm saying is, he's probably in last place. But you have to look at the fact that if Deshaun Watson turns out to be what Deshaun Watson is and the Browns can get off the schneid of not having a quarterback for 50 years and he figures that out, the fact that he gave up 3 first-round picks is unprecedented. The contract was unprecedented. He turned them down and they still kept going after it. So if he pulled that off and the Browns can actually say they have a franchise quarterback, which is the most difficult position to get right in all of sports, you have to look at him and say, well, damn it, it was a C, but now?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a conversation for next year if all these things happen. Plus, you got to look at what else he's done. It's not like he found the quarterback out of nowhere. He traded for him, and I'll give him credit for that if it does work out, and I think it will. But
And
happen.
Jimmy Haslam had a lot to do with that. Barry had the relationship with David Mulugeta, the agent. They stayed in touch after Deshaun said no. Andrew kept the conversation going, but Jimmy going over the top and saying let's guarantee $230 million had as much or more to do with Deshaun coming here.
Let me ask you this: if Deshaun don't work out, who's on the chopping block?
Oh, owners don't fire themselves.
Right.
So if I'll give him the credit, fine. But
it's like giving Dan credit for the championship when LeBron came back.
Right.
LeBron got that championship. It wasn't Dan.
Exactly.
It wasn't David Griffin. It was LeBron.
That's right. I agree with that. So are you saying Andrew Berry is number one?
No.
Are you saying he could be by next year?
No, I'm saying he could be. Like he turn around.
But right now, how do you rank them?
Right now, I give it to That's it's a tough one. I'm gonna actually go with I'm gonna actually do a topsy turvy. I didn't think I was gonna say this, but I like what Koby Altman has done to a certain extent.
You just like who he drafted 49th.
Hey, well, that's.
I ain't saying his name again.
He brought him up.
I brought him up, but I ain't saying his name.
No, actually, besides that, I think, besides the Summer League stuff, I thought that, first of all, he got Donovan Mitchell, right? Now, granted, it looked like that could be a little bit too early, right? I like the fact that he did go after it. You don't get a guy like Donovan Mitchell that comes around every other day. And for better or worse, the Cavs didn't perform like they wanted to, but he put the Cavs on the map to a certain extent. The Cavs were just a nice, feel-good team. And then they got expectations. Now, to get expectations, you got to have ball players. And he did that. I'll give him credit. He drafted Evan Mobley. Give him credit. Darius Garland did not look like he was a max player for a while. When it was either him or Colin Sexton, they stuck by and said Darius Garland is actually that dude, and he's blossomed. So they've done some nice things, and I like how, to this point, I like how he answered, because we gave him a lot of help. We said, Jerry Allen, we were dealing with that. He said, I'm not going to get rid of nobody. And then what I liked was the fact that he went out and just addressed what he needed. He went out and got shooters. You may not like the names on them. You may not like what it is, but I think that he's done a good job of trying to transform his middling team, young team, exciting team into a contender in a very closed space, right? So I like what he's done, but it's very small. It's very small.
So you got him one.
I got him.
Guardians 2.
As today, Guardians 2.
Browns 3. Jason.
The answer is Antonetti. In course of the long whole body
and in
of
fairness,
work,
he's had a longer time than the other guys.
Here's where Koby could catch him. And I've said for years the Guardians are the best run team in town, and it's not even close. Here's where Koby can catch him. The Cavs have the best the Cavs have the best situation right now for a general manager or for a decision maker, because you have all of Dan's money and none of his influence. And that's never been the case before. The money always came with strings attached. Same with the Browns. You've got a crazy man in charge.
Right.
And in both Independence and in Berea, where you've got all this money, but you've got someone behind it saying, we want to do this. No, we're going to go. No, let's go do this. No. And that's gone now, at least for the Cavs. So Koby actually has the best position that any Cavs GM has had since Dan bought the team, because you really don't have the day-to-day interference from ownership that you had, that Danny Ferry dealt with, that Chris Grant dealt with, that David Griffin dealt with. That's all gone. Yet you still have the aggressive nature of wanting to spend and wanting to go for it. And Koby's done a nice job of hitting on his picks. Like, they've hit. They hit on Colin Sexton. Now, I don't like the way that they used him, and I thought they tried to build him into something that he wasn't, and that's a whole other thing. It doesn't matter anymore. But the fact is, they had an 8th overall pick, and they drafted a guy who can play in the NBA for a long time. Darius Garland, they hit on the pick. Okoro, I didn't like that one. I don't know how you take a guy that high who can't shoot. But the Jared Allen trade, they nailed. He's aggressive with Donovan Mitchell. Like, he's incredibly aggressive. I like that. And I think he's certainly done a better job than I thought. When he first got the job, I thought, this is like, he's not ready. Right. This is a disaster. He's grown into the role. He made mistakes early, learned from those mistakes. And it's a well-run team now. The Cavs are a well-run team with a ton of money behind them and not a lot of influence from ownership. It's a perfect scenario for a guy in his position. The Guardians are still number one, though, just because of what they've been able to do with the limitations that they've had from payroll. Again, another organization with a ton of stability and no spending. Well, that's not the Cavs' issue now. The Cavs actually have stability and spending. and the Browns are third just until we see otherwise. They just have to be third.
And I will say this: I'm anxious to see on one track how Koby Altman handles Donovan Mitchell. I want to see how that because look, I look at Shane Bieber. I don't know. The Guardians haven't really done that. I think the Guardians would take a couple hits about the way they've kind of dangled him, and now he's hurt. You got pieces and parts that you have to see. The Guardians have to hit on those things. The Cavs really necessarily don't, because the Cavs have actually developed to a certain point where they do have pieces. If they wanted to get crazy, they could just say, well, we'll reset it and go trade Mobley for somebody, or we could trade Garland for somebody, or at least they have.
Well, the Guardians have. I mean, the Guardians have 3 young pitchers they could trade and get a lot for, but they don't want to trade those guys.
That's the conundrum with the Guardians. They seemingly have all the pieces and parts, but they're stingy with them. They seemingly have a lot of different, things that they can do and push and market pools and get some, but they haven't. For me, they haven't solidified that one thing. Just go get just one time for me. Just one time, do it for me. Package up a few of these guys and get me a name.
Yeah, well, they've blown that certainly in the last year and change, and this offseason is going to be interesting because they're going to trade Bieber this offseason. They may trade Savant. There's not much they can do at the trade deadline.
No.
Well,
they don't have much to trade.
They could buy, but they have to buy guys with multiple years of control. They're not buying a rental at this point.
But who are they giving up to buy? I mean,
they've got plenty. I mean, we've had the conversation.
I know, but some of those guys
prospects.
have lost some steam.
Sure, but I mean, Jackenzie Noel, George Valera, like there's plenty of other guys whose value hasn't been tarnished.
Right.
That now would be the time to trade them. It's just a matter of what you can get back, because you need a guy with multiple years of control. You're not trading for a guy right now whose contract is up at the end of the year.
Right.
And that complicates things.
That's true. Mike?
I think there's a case to be made for Altman, for Antonetti. I think, as G eloquently put, Berry may have the highest ceiling if this Watson thing pans out, but at the moment, I think it's too early to crown him.
There's
over
no
the
case
other
for
two.
Andrew Berry. I know some of our fans.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I think the
live in
ceiling's
La
there.
La Land, but there's no case for Andrew Berry at the moment.